Hello and welcome back to the Scenario 7 podcast YouTube channel. My name is Sam and this is week 11 of our F1 fantasy show. In this episode, we'll be looking back at how we did in Britain, talking about price changes and looking ahead to this weekend's Austrian Grand Prix, going through Matt's team and any alternatives you might look to swap in before the deadline. But before anything else, let's introduce our fantasy expert, Matt Collier. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing good, thank you, Sam. Not only was it a good race, it was also very good for my team, which we'll get on to. But yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. And yeah, as you said, it was a very good race in Britain. So let's look back at it and see where we sit in the Scenario 7 podcast fantasy table. And of course, we're going to start with Performer of the Week, where we look at the person with the most points from the last race. And for Silverstone, it was Elora B with 246 points. So a fantastic effort from them. Now to the top of the table, and Andrew T retains his spot with 2,131 points. If he's going to get dethroned, he's going to need to get that dethroned soon because he's building up quite the lead at the top of the table. Matt, you are up 4 places to 17th on 1,849 points. Without going into much detail, are you pleased with your performance in Britain?
Yeah, I'm very pleased. We'll get on to how well it went in the breakdown. But yeah, very good weekend.
Yeah, it certainly was. And now finally on to me. And I'm also on the rise, going up 4 places to 30th on 1,730 points. I got 211 points in Britain, which I was very happy with, which in fact was 12th best in our league. So to run through what went well, I mean, I had Perez as my turbo driver, got me some great points. Had Sainz, who of course won the race, and then Alonso and Vettel putting great results, and Red Bull with both drivers doing all right. I mean, it wasn't Red Bull's finest time as a constructor, with Verstappen being quite low down, but they did well. And then unfortunately, I was just let down by Bottas, -8 points. Not ideal, but it is what it is. You can't have everything going right for you. Let's go more in depth with your team last week, Matt. The team you selected is on screen now. So you had Fernando Alonso, you got you 37 points. Sergio Perez got you 36. Nicholas Latifi got 6 points. Carlos Sainz got you 49. Charles Leclerc was your turbo driver, getting you 44. And you had Red Bull getting 42 as a constructor, totaling to 214 points, which is the 11th best in the league for Britain. Matt, talk me through your selection.
Well, first of all, home Grand Prix, and it's finally happened. No DNFs. Of course, it has to happen at my home Grand Prix. I finally got that buckle of having so many DNFs. It's finally clear. I've got a clean slate now. I can finally progress. Yeah, it was a very good weekend. I think there were like 6 DNFs, and somehow all my drivers managed to survive and not blow up for once. But yeah, I'll break down how I did. Alonso got 37 points. He got his +10 for his race streak. Sergio Perez got 36 points. So Fernando Alonso got 1 more point than Perez. Nicholas Latifi got 6 points. Had a very good weekend in qualifying. Got 6 points. I think he beat Ricciardo in the end and didn't get lapped. So yeah, it was a good weekend for Latifi. Carlos Sainz got 49 points. Solid weekend. Got so many points for beating Leclerc, winning the race and getting pole. And then Leclerc's my turbo driver got 44 points, hindered by Ferrari strategy again. Once again, they find a way of mucking up one of their drivers' races. Leclerc being out on the hard tyres whilst everyone's on softs. And then Red Bull got 42 points, despite them having a very difficult weekend with Verstappen not getting on the podium and finishing 7th. They still managed to get 42. So yeah, 214 points. Very pleased. It was 11th for the week. So yeah, good weekend.
Yeah, certainly a good weekend as you try to progress up the table. It's time to look at some price changes. And as always, there have been a lot of fluctuations since the last race, with people rising and falling in price. And there will continue to be until the deadline. What we talk about now is the price at the time of recording and are likely to change. Let's start with the drivers. What changes stand out to you?
Yeah, there's not quite a massive spike like last show with Williams, just very subtle changes. The only 0.2 increase is George Russell. So George Russell's gone from 23.8 million up to 24 million, so an increase of 0.2, despite getting a DNF and his top five streak finally ending. I think people are realizing that the Mercedes car's definitely got a lot more potential, which is probably why it's increased. On the subject of Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton has gone from 30 million up to 30.1 million, so an increase of 0.1 after getting on the podium at Silverstone. Despite getting a DNF in Silverstone, Valtteri Bottas has gone from 9.6 up to 9.7 million, so an increase of 0.1. Fernando Alonso getting a race streak at Silverstone has gone from 12.4 million up to 12.5 million, an increase of 0.1. On some driver decreases, Pierre Gasly has gone from 13 million down to 12.9 million, decrease of 0.1. Tangle with his teammate, which definitely didn't help his points. And another driver that's decreased is Sebastian Vettel. He's gone from 11.6 down to 11.5 million, so a decrease of 0.1, despite still getting points at Silverstone. And on to some constructors, on the same theme of Aston Martin with Vettel. Aston Martin have decreased. They've gone from 11.2 million down to 11.1 million, so a decrease of 0.1. McLaren have gone from 17.6 million down to 17.5 million. Once again, that's probably down to Ricciardo's poor performances, so a decrease of 0.1 for McLaren. And then the spike of last show, Williams, they're slowly now going back to reality. Williams have gone from 7.4 million down to 7.3 million, a decrease of 0.1.
Yeah, some interesting changes there, especially with Russell increasing after a DNF in Britain. Very interesting. Let's look at the team you're going to be deploying this week. And of course, we need to preface this with the fact that this is subject to change, as the deadline is not until Friday, and practice sessions can be used as an insight into how teams will perform this week. This weekend is a sprint weekend, so big points are up in store. Now, first up is Fernando Alonso in an unchanged fancy lineup, costing 12.5 million. Why does he keep his place?
Well, he keeps his place because he's getting loads of streaks at the moment. He had a race streak at Silverstone this week. He's got a qualifying streak, so he'll get an extra +5 if he manages to qualify in the top 10. And yeah, there's plenty of points on the table, as you explained, with it being a sprint race. And yeah, the Alpines definitely look very quick, so that's why I've kept Alonso.
Fair enough. Sergio Perez also keeps his place, valued at 18.4. Why have you kept faith with him?
Well, it's very much a Red Bull track, I think, this weekend, and Perez is still second in the championship. You know, he's definitely a very good option for people's teams, and yeah, he stays another week.
And another man that stays another week, Nicholas Latifi, priced at 6.7 million. A great qualifying in Britain. Do you think he's going to kick on? Why is he in your team?
We'll have to wait and see how practice goes. I've only got one practice session to analyze everything, with it being a sprint race. But it's good to see that Williams have brought upgrades and improvements. And Latifi, when he does finish, has always finished 16th or above. So that's always a positive. Yeah, so far when I've had him, he's got positive points, hasn't got any negative points. So yeah, I've kept him in my team at the moment, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, hopefully he can kick off and kick on. And another man that I hope will kick on is Carlos Sainz, a race winner in Britain last week. He costs 17.2 million. And I'm guessing there's a pretty clear reason why he's staying in the team.
Yeah, I did say a while back, like, I don't want to get rid of Carlos Sainz because he will eventually win a Grand Prix, and that race was Silverstone. So I was very happy I didn't chop him and miss out on loads of points. Yeah, we'll have to see if he can now progress after getting a pole position and a race win, and we'll have to see how he does this weekend. But he's definitely looking like a really good price at 17.2 million.
Yeah, it is looking a good price. And Charles Leclerc is the final driver in your team and is your turbo driver, 18.8 million. Why is he in your team, and why have you got him as your turbo driver after Sainz's fantastic performance last week and this being a Red Bull-oriented track?
Yeah, it's a lot of good questions. The main reason is because of his high ownership. I think he's in like 64% of people's teams, which is mental. I think he's like either the highest or joint highest. I think Magnus and Leclerc are very highly owned. And yeah, it's about if you go with someone else and Leclerc does really well, you're going to drop down because basically everyone's got Leclerc as their turbo driver. So it's kind of just a keep it safe with Leclerc as your turbo driver. Yeah, hopefully he'll do well this weekend. Hopefully Ferrari won't throw another strategy blunder at him and he can get some good points. That's why I've kept him in my team.
Yeah, sounds pretty safe. I like it. Now to have the constructor, and Red Bull keeps its place, valued at 32.5 million. Why have you kept them? I mean, it is the Red Bull ring.
Yeah, it's the Red Bull ring and they've got the most points as a constructor. So it kind of says what it does on the tin. Yeah, Verstappen's also very good at this track. So yeah, so I've kept Red Bull as my constructor.
Yeah, I mean, there was only one team that could fill this place, really, wasn't there? We've gone through your team now, but who are some alternatives you're looking to potentially swap in before the deadline, and the people at home can consider putting in their teams?
Yeah, so on each show I go through 3 alternatives. I do 1 constructor and 2 drivers. The 1 constructor I've gone for is Ferrari, currently priced at 25.8 million. They're the only constructor to have any kind of streak this weekend. They've got a race streak, so they get an extra plus 10 if Leclerc and Sainz finish in the points on Sunday. On to some drivers. Despite having a DNF, I've gone with Valtteri Bottas, priced at 9.7 million. He's increased by 0.1. He won this race back in 2020, and I think it's probably one of his favourite tracks. So we have to see how he does this weekend. And on to another driver who's also very good at this track. I've gone with Lando Norris, currently priced at 15.7 million. Qualified P2 last year in pole, literally came to the last corner. I think he got his first podium at Austria as well. So yeah, definitely a favourite track for Lando, and there's some alternatives people should consider.
Yeah, some good picks there. And that wraps up our video. I hope you found it helpful. A reminder that the deadline for changes is an hour before qualifying, which this week is on Friday, as it is a sprint weekend. So get your team finalised by then. Make sure you don't forget. Remember to like and subscribe if you liked this content. Follow us on our socials. They are linked down below, along with our fancy league code if you would still like to join. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.